you have a deaf baby, and that baby needs language. Spoken languages are not going to be accessible to this baby unless this baby is a star with a cochlear implant. Sign languages are accessible to this baby. Sign languages are accessible to every deaf baby, even blind deaf, because there are tactile forms of sign languages. With sign language, you give the child language. Therefore, every deaf child should be given a sign language from the moment their auditory status is determined. It makes sense. That's what you need to do. The benefits of sign language over only speech, okay? So one guy says, let's give them only speech. Another guy says, let's give them sign language. Maybe let's give them speech too, but let's make sure we give them sign language. The benefits are that they will have full competence in a language. They will get what a first language gives the brain. They will be completely competent people cognitively. They will be completely competent people linguistically. And they will be able to engage in all of those activities we talked about at the beginning. They will be able to tell jokes and fall in love. They will be able to enjoy stories. They'll understand different points of view. They will have the great pleasures of being human. These are basic human rights. More benefits of sign language over only speech. As I said earlier, language skills are the best predictors of literacy. Among deaf children, the best signers are the best readers. You know, doesn't matter whether their parents were deaf or hearing. If they are good signers, they're much more likely to become readers. Onward. Benefits, more benefits. Yeah, and this is something that little video was about. That young woman was talking about how hard it is for her, all the time she has to work when she's communicating with hearing people. With a sign language, you give someone a language in which it's effortless to communicate. Think how easily you talk to your friends. Everybody should have that right. Everybody should be able to enjoy a communication experience. Your brain needs it. Your spirit needs it. You need to be able to just relax and enjoy a communication experience. One of the things that happens to cochlear implant stars is when they are in elementary school, they're stars. They're doing well. They're keeping up because the teacher is asking, what's the capital of France? And they can answer, Paris, okay? They're all right. But as school gets more complex in terms of the ideas that are going on, when the teacher says, if Catalonia became its own independent country, what would change in educational policy? What do you think would change in educational policy? When the teacher asks a question like that, the child has to start thinking, following an abstract new world possibility and extrapolating from it. Well, all the children are talking. This child with the cochlear implant is still working on trying to think about that and misses what that child says and what that child says and what that child says, because things are complicated now and you can't be deciphering what that means and at the same time be listening to what the other people are doing. It's called cognitive overload, and the children start doing badly. Many children who are cochlear implant stars in elementary school start falling behind in middle grades and in high school. They become very disappointed in themselves. They feel like failures. People used to think they were smart, and now they feel like they're stupid. Teachers don't believe them that they need help because they were doing so well before. So they're not given the help they need. They're not given note takers. And these are the children that are miserable. These are children that have a high depression rate. They have a high suicide attempt rate. Some of them succeed in suicide. It's awful. And these children who have been kept away from signing, when they discover signing and they discover what has been denied to them, these children are often furious at their families. And you think of the poor families, these parents, they love their children. They wanted to do the best thing for their children. They worked with their children for hours every day. They were devoted. But they were betrayed by a medical institution that did not give them the proper information. But whatever the child feels like, my parents kept me away from a whole world of happiness. And these people often will just have nothing to do with their families, sometimes for years. Your spirit needs a language in which to just be able to enjoy yourself. Now, any child who signs plus can speak or read the script of a spoken language is bilingual, because those are two different languages. The writing is a representation of a different language. So they've got two languages. So they are bilingual. There are huge benefits to this. You have better mental flexibility. You can face new problems and do better at them. You have better creation, better attention. You can pay attention better when you are bilingual. I don't know why. These are just things that you find in the psychology literature. And an interesting thing is that the bilingual child uses more complex language in both their signing and their writing, if they're a writer, or speaking, if they happen to be a star with their cochlear implant. That is, they've just got a better handle on language. Bilingualism is an amazing thing. And as you age, if you're a bilingual person, if you speak Catalan and you speak Spanish, you are a bilingual person. If you're a bilingual person, your brain is active longer And we find that the onset of dementia is about 3 years, more than 3 years later on the average with bilinguals than with monolinguals. So it's good for your brain. So my conclusion is that there is no reason to deny a child a sign language. And there is every reason to give a child a sign language. Giving a deaf child a sign language protects their cognitive health. Not giving a deaf child a sign language takes a risk, a horrible risk, with their cognitive health. It is a human right to have language. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Donna Jo, for this inspiring and informative and accessible talk. Now we have like 50 minutes for comments or questions. So if you're gonna sign, please, would you mind coming to the front and signing to the room? If not, you can get a microphone.
Do I put this on now?
Yes, okay. Yes, please.